Everyone, so I'm going to have a go at some loose roses today. I have got a little bit of Saunders Waterford. It's about 5 by 7 inches. My round number 10, my round number 6 and my rigger size number 2. My Cotman palette, which I popped a link in the description. I want you to be able to see this, so I'm just going to move this up a bit. And I'm going to use a little bit of clean film today. So I'm going to start by wetting all of the paper. I'm going to get some colour on and then have a little play with some clean film. So you want a nice even coat of water. And then you're going to come in with some colours. So if I start with a little bit of cerulean blue, I like to use a mixture of colours. You can see I'm dabbing into the water, then dabbing directly into the pan. Just popping a few little strokes on there. Rinsing my brush. I'm going to come into the rose. So we're going to use rose for roses. They don't all have to be on the page, so you can do a couple, and 3 is a good number. I'm going to pop a couple of little dabs in here as well. So I haven't got as much water on the brush and I'm taking in a little bit more of the neater colour. Give my brush a bit of a rinse and then I'm coming into some cadmium yellow. A little bit of a glow in places, so I'm going to bring that in where I might have some foliage and then rinse my brush, load it with water and dab into some sap green. So we're going to start to pop a little bit of that on. And I'm doing quite random but fairly big dabs. I'm thinking leaves as I'm doing this. Okay, so I've got some bits of clean film, and you only need little bits, so I'm trying to break them up a little bit so that I'm only going over the rose. So I've got a little section here about 10 centimetres by 10 centimetres, but basically you want to create a shape to cover your rose. So I'm just scrunching it a little bit, and I'm going to pop it on and scrunch. I've got another one, making it the right sort of shape, pop it on and scrunch. I've got another one, and again the right sort of shape, then pop it on and scrunch. So we're getting some lovely texture going to appear there. So I'm just going to leave that to dry now. So when it gets to a certain point, you just want to check it and just peel and see. It might still be a little bit wet, but if you've got some texture, you can work with that and we can dry it off. Okay, so that's nicely dried. There's some really lovely texture in here. I've swapped down to my round number 6. And I'm just going to pick up some rose directly because we're going loose today. So we're just creating an impression of roses. There's already an impression there. What I'm going to do is just come round. So my brush is fairly loaded and create a little bit of a spiral. Just coming round. Then I'm going to rinse my brush. It's full of clean water and just dab in to soften one side. So I'm sort of doing the outside edge. I'm going to take a little bit there. So you're going to start to get a little bit of a flow happening. Then we're going to do the same with this one. So this one I'm going to make it less uniform. So I've got a bigger area, a smaller area, smaller area at the back, a bigger area here. The trick is to get enough water on. I'm using my round number 10 now to just soften this in. When you're taking the paint on, that it doesn't dry. You want to be able to soften that side in and create that lovely sort of soft rose effect. And then the same again here. So dipped into the water, dipped into the rose. And we're going to do a very loose spiral there. So every single one of these spirals is different. Then I can use my round number 10 to wet that outside edge. We've got a lovely effect already happening. So now what I can do is just take in little bits more of the rose. Just to accentuate. We've got all these lovely hard and soft edges working really well. I can take out a couple of petals on the outside edge of the rose as well. You just don't want to eliminate all of the texture, and you don't want to eliminate all of the soft edges. So when you're doing these little petals on the outside edge, I want you to make sure you're leaving some of these soft edges. Hard and soft is what makes a painting work, especially a loose painting. You're getting a little bit of definition, a little bit of atmosphere. If I dip into a little bit of ultramarine blue, just going to pop a little bit towards the centre, and then pick out just a couple of these petals to have a darker edge. If it looks too dark, just dab your brush off, dab it off, and then just spread that colour around. So you're not taking additional water in, you're not taking additional paint, you're just spreading what you've got, but it works quite nicely. The other option is to take a bit more of the rose in over the top, but it's quite nice to have those different colours of paint working on the paper. I'm going to pick up my round number 10, so my nice big brush again, and then pick up some sap green. I'm just going to now work in a couple of leaves. So I'm going for a nice leaf shape. I actually don't mind if it blends into the rose. It works really nicely when it does that. Looks also quite nice as well. This is if you have a leaf coming over in a different area. That always works nicely. See how simple they are. Picking up my round number 6 and just dipping back into the ultramarine. I'm just going to bring a little bit of shadow. You can bring the shadow to the edge of the petal and down the centre, or just down one side. And then if I pick up my round number 10, load it with water, and what I'm going to do is just dab in next to these leaves, just in places. So what I'm just trying to do is create that hard and soft edge again. Now these are nearly dry, so they may not flow that much, but it's just enough to give them a bit of a difference. Like it's flowed down there lovely. Just take a little bit more water in there. It's softened in here, and it just helps to hold it all together. So I'm going to dry that one off. Okay, so that's nicely dry. I've picked up my long thin rigger and I'll have my round number 6 loaded with water ready. Now I could do with this sap green being a little bit darker, so if I take a little bit of the ultramarine into it, it's just going to give it a little bit more of a darkness. And then what I'm going to do is follow the line of the leaf and run down a central vein. So you've got to curve with the leaf. You've got that central vein there. With this wet brush, I'm then going to touch one side of each of these. If you think it will dry quicker, do one at a time. Do the run it through and then add the water. And then I'm going to come down one side of each of these. Following the line of the leaf like I would do the line of the land. Then I'm going to do the other side. I'm just going to stagger it very slightly so they're not coming off at the same place. That works really nicely. And you don't have to do every single one, because every single one, if you look at a photo of them or look at them in real life, when they've got light on them, they don't always show the veins. So you could do less is more. So I'm just going to do a few. I'm going to do this one as well because this looks like it needs it. And then leave a couple with not much on there at all. If I just take a little bit of the rose and a little bit of the ultramarine, I want a nice purple, I can just come in, just add a little bit more definition. Not a lot, just within that centre. Can add a little bit. When you're doing stuff like this, it's always less is more. Rinse my brush out. I'm going to come into a little bit of the rose. You can vary the pressure of the brush so you get different strokes, and that can indicate a sort of petal. An overlap of a petal. So I'm sticking for where I've gone with the purple and then coming back to overlap a petal. Just adding just a little bit more of detail. Just those few little bits of petals. Okay, I'll dry that one off. So there we go, that one's all finished. I hope you've enjoyed it. Please do like, subscribe and share. I'll pop a video here in a playlist here, and I shall see you next time. Bye.